Hey everyone and welcome back, and I'm really happy with the 92nd minute winning goal from Sandro Tonali against Lazio. It was what a moment, of course, in the season. I feel like it's going to be the massive springboard we need to sort of see out these last four games and hopefully get the results we need to keep us in the title race. And obviously, we can only see what happens from there. Obviously, it's not really in our hands. We're into Milan with that game in hand, so we have to see how they fare this week. But, I was completely elated with the performance, especially from the second half, the way we kind of came out of the press. Really happy with the result, obviously, but there's something I really want to sound out about, and I think this comes down to not every fan, and I want to sort of point this out, that most fans are not in this category. Most fans understand the project and the journey we're going through, especially with the news coming out with potential new ownership, which should be sort of completing itself towards the end of this week and then being announced towards the end of May after the end of the season, obviously not to distract us in our sort of hopes to win the title this year, is that there seems to be, it's quite hard to explain, it's a weird output from certain fans, and they're not happy with things which I think is just, I thought was a guaranteed, I thought was a given, the performance of Stefano Pioli, who our captain should be. And I really want to sound off at these fans and really sort of bring things home. But we're going to go through the Lazio game first, and I can understand how the reaction kind of came about, and we'll sort of circle things back round against the three things I want to sound out against. Basically, some fans critiquing this Milan side and certain individuals inside it who I don't believe that should deserve that critique. So obviously the Lazio game was a typical roller coaster of a Milan game, and the first half didn't start off well. Obviously, very similarities to the Inter Milan game midweek in the Coppa Italia, conceding in the first 5 minutes and wasting opportunities. I think that's a sort of highlight from the first half. Craving out, a few half chances, a few chances on goal. There just didn't seem to be that conversion in front of goal, and there seemed to be that sort of fear that are we going to sort of rue these chances that we're not taking. And then the second half clicked, and there's obviously whatever Pioli said to the guys at half time was clearly a wake-up call, and they came out all guns blazing with the press. You can see there was a difference in the way we're pressing as well. It was much more high octane, just really going at those Lazio defenders there, really to make them lose possession in their own half. And lo and behold, within 5 minutes, we score the equalising goal and create a few opportunities after that. That one that comes to mind is the Messias one when he dribbles past the left back, Radu, and he gets that effort which just goes just left of the goal. And there seemed to obviously just fizzle out for the rest of the next sort of 20 minutes though. After like 65 minutes, I'd say it sort of just fizzled out. I think the press was obviously starting to lose energy because we were late into a game. There was a few rotations as well. Rebic came on for Brahim Diaz, Krunic came on as well, Ibrahimovic for Giroud. So there were some obviously personnel changes. But the one change where I think, and I know a lot of fans got very frustrated with, and I could almost sense this giving up on Stefano Pioli, was when he took off Rafael Leao for Alexis Salamakers. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't really happy with that substitution, but at the same time I was never like, he needs to go because of this. And I just feel like there's this stigma, this agenda towards Stefano Pioli, despite everything he's done for this club so far in his short tenure of being here, 2.5 years now, nearly 3 years, is that we're still questioning the guy. And even though that wasn't a substitution that changed the end result of the game, it was almost as if like that was the straw that broke the camel's back and now he should be gone. And the reaction that he got from substitution like that was, I thought once again just a bit sort of obscene, a bit extreme. And lo and behold, obviously, we got out to win the game because one of the substitutions he does make, with Rebic and Ibrahimovic obviously connecting with the winning goal. So, people want to sort of slander his substitutions in that moment, but it was the substitutions prior to that actually got us the winning goal. And obviously, Tonali's goal, in a sense, amazing. To me personally, I kind of credit all the effort in that goal goes down to Rebic, hustling Marusic, getting the ball back there and crossing the ball into the box. And obviously there's a bit of defensive mistakes there of Lazio late into the game. Acerbi headering it out. Ibrahimovic with a bit of wisdom there, knocking it down. So I have to give credit to Ibrahimovic as well. And Tonali doesn't have to do much. Obviously the knee down and the toe poking, a bit of fortune as well with that all. He could have been a bit much more brash with it and sort of lashed the chance straight away. So there's a lot of maturity there in all three of those players involved with the move. But I feel like it was very easy to turn on Pioli in that moment, especially when he took off Rafael Leao, because he was, and he still is, our most explosive player when it comes to the attack. And we'll come on to why I feel like it's just really unjust to kind of, of course we can question some substitutions, but to really turn completely on a coach in that moment just because of that substitution, in my mind, is a bit extreme. As mentioned at the start of the video, look, this isn't a attack on all Milan fans. I think this is a minority of fans who have an agenda against Stefano Pioli. I know the majority of us are all backing him. We still are so happy with the performance that he's giving to this side. He's really just performing higher than expectations. He's overperforming in a sense with this crop of players who obviously there are some great talents there. There are some young talents there. He's growing them as well, which credit goes to himself as a coach. But nonetheless, obviously, the budget compared to most clubs, especially the rival clubs in Italian football, like Inter Milan or Juventus, you just can't compare it really. The attack he has to work with players like Macias and Salamakers and Giroud on a free transfer. Obviously, there's some shrewd acquisitions there, but to me, I just think that you can't really slander the guy for what he's actually done with the players that he has had to work with, and especially when you look back to when he first took over the club from Gianpaolo. Late 2019, the 5-0 loss to Atalanta, it just wasn't looking good. So all these things is, for me, money in the bank for Stefano Pioli. Nonetheless, let's just talk about, once again, another victory against one of the top 7 sides, so top 6 side we're going to play against in that top 7, traditional top 7 clubs in Italian football. Lazio is now another scalp he has to add to his resume this season, now beating them home and away, beating Roma home and away, a victory against Inter Milan, a victory against Napoli away from home as well, a draw against, so he still has the highest points per game against the top 6 in Italian football. Once again, we've qualified for the Champions League. The mathematics are there. We don't have to worry about that anymore. It's not going to the last game of the season. It's now sorted. We are in the Champions League for next season. And to do that with 4 games remaining, sitting on 74 points. We finished, I believe, on 79 points last season. 74 points with 4 games left. That shows you improvement. He is not stagnating as a coach with this side. Of course, we've added players, but at the same time, I just feel like the development is clearly there. It's to be seen. And we just need to get behind this coach, because I just believe he's the guy who's going to lead us forward in this current moment. And it's not, when we look at, obviously, the owners, new owners coming into the club, we can sit there and go, oh, we need a big-time coach now. Shift out Pioli. He's done us all right for now. No, I still feel like his journey can continue from now, and I still think he deserves that chance. With a higher budget, with better players coming into this squad, he easily deserves a chance to continue this journey going forward. And I think people want to say, oh, what about like the whole Montella experience, when obviously he was with us before the Chinese takeover, and things just didn't really quite end well with him when the Chinese takeover came, and obviously we spent around like 200 million euros in that first transfer window. Not to say we're going to spend that money now, but we're going to obviously spend hopefully more than we would usually spend with Elliott. Well, I would say to this, that Montella achieved, I think, a Europa League qualification that season before the Chinese takeover happened. There's clear disparity between the performances and the output that both coaches are given. Pioli is high level output in Italian football. You might judge him in European football. You might judge him against like the bottom 6 sides who he needs to improve on. Of course, that can be that can be critiqued. But he's beating the top teams in Italian football. What more do you want from a coach? And you can't sit here and compare like this transition similar to Montella. I just don't believe he deserves. We're massive overachievers. When you look at this squad, massively overachieving. Start of the season, the target was top 4. We've now achieved that with 4 games remaining. I don't understand what more you couldn't want. And I would also say to this as well, the fear I have is that when you get rid of someone like Stefano Pioli, is that you remove something that's massive to this side, because obviously there's that sheer lack of quality in certain positions, like the attack. What we make up for, and what you saw once again, is the heart, the grinta that you see to win you a game just out of sheer will, just out of, pressing, out of momentum. If you take away someone like Stefano Pioli, I feel like you go backwards from what made us who we are. That heart, you cannot deny that there is such heart behind this Milan side. And we'll come on to the fact that, even some of us are questioning that heart is still existing in the club or in the squad right now. Now, I've been waiting for those last minute victories. I don't know what it is. Not to say I necessarily want them and I prefer them, but there's something about that though, when, you feel like the chips are down and you feel like it's going to be a draw, or it's going to be a loss. And then all of a sudden we get that goal and there's that pure elation, that ecstasy of emotions. The Teo Hernandez goal ironically against Lazio in December last season is one thing that comes to mind as well. There's not been many this season I could really call upon. There should have been the Macias goal against Spezia, which was obviously ruled off. I think the last goal we had in the sort of 90th plus minutes was Ibrahimovic's equaliser away from home against Udinese. I think that was back in like November time. Yeah, not October, November time. So there's been few and far in between those sort of last minute elation, ecstasy goals that we've really had this season. And for me, that represents the heart to this side, that where you feel like you could, they're down, that's it, they're out. I've always said that this side prefers on the catch-up as opposed to being leaders into the league, and that's something we do need to improve on going forward. But when you feel like the chips are down, this side can improve. It can impress you. It will do wonders when you really consider what we have to work with. I keep talking about the money spent on the team. It's not the highest, it's not the lowest, but at the same time we're overachieving as a squad. You can talk about the injuries, you can talk about COVID hitting us, you can talk about players going to an African Cup of Nations. There's been that you could talk about referee decisions. There's been massive factors to really stagnate us from evolving as a club and really going for the targets we're going for this season. But you cannot deny the heart is there, and I just loved seeing that last minute goal. We're all just, I wish I could get the reactions of all the Milan fans around the world when Tonali scored that goal. It was amazing. I just love it. I don't understand how you cannot love this side. Every player in it, even his like Rade Krunic, man, just players like that. And I like to think we'll look back at this season and seasons like this and certain players that were in this squad and sort of just remember the good times, man. So, obviously as our journey continues and hopefully we sort of evolve as a club, we're going to look back with a lot of smiles. Now, my third thing I'm going to sound off about, really. Look, Davide Calabria, I want to talk about him and the captaincy. Look, I think he should be open to critique because the performances haven't been amazing recently. But I think when people want to come out and say he doesn't deserve to be the captain anymore, or we should even sell the player, obviously you can stake a claim for Sandro Tonali. I've even got a shirt here. I love that. Just seeing that red and black, it's just, it's great. I love number 8, all these sort of things. Anyway, I'm getting a bit off key here. I love Sandro Tonali, and don't get me wrong, I feel like he should be the vice captain, if not at least the third captain going from next season. Romagnoli going, Kessie going this summer. I do feel like there's that spot there that he can clearly take. But to come out and say that he deserves right now to be the main captain over Davide Calabria, who was our start of the season captain, I think it's a bit insulting. I think it's really insulting. It's even more insulting to think that he should no longer be in this squad. He doesn't deserve to be in this squad. He's not the level of quality that this squad deserves. There's initially the humble aspect of being a Milan fan these times, and we do need to understand that players like him represent this side. Improvement, hard work, grinta, love of the club, putting the club before anything else, and even being a Milanista, all goes into his favour. Berating Calabria for a few performances, they're not been amazing. Don't get me wrong, but we can't sit here and say he's the worst player on the pitch or anything like that. And to strip him for the armband, in my opinion, is quite insulting. And I think we need to look back to last season. It's actually quite ironic again that we look back to last season. He came out at the end of the season needing a hernia surgery, an operation. And he delayed that to the end of the season, to after our last game against Atalanta, because he wanted to be sure that he was there for the end of the season. So we met that goal and we got top 4, and we did. And that meant him not going to the Euros and playing for Italy, even though he was probably like a banker to play for Italy because he was playing that good of a football. So he put the club above his country, so we got top 4. And if you really look at the sort of what ifs, if we didn't get top 4 last season, who knows what could have happened? We probably wouldn't have bought Fikayo Tomori. We probably wouldn't have bought Sandro Tonali. Moments like that really have to be accounted for and give credit to players like him. And I feel insulted that some fans want to come out and say he's not worthy to be here at the club. Where is this coming from? I mean, I don't understand how we can be so short-sighted about a player who clearly loves this club. And don't get me wrong, love can only get you so far. It needs to be quality. It needs to be hard work. The quality is there. We know Calabria is a good player. Is he the best right back in the world? He's not. He's one of the best right backs in Italy. You can't question that, and you can't also question his hard work and work rate. Some of the takes I've seen in recent weeks, in recent months, about a player who gives his all, is our captain, and no problem renewing his contract as well for lower figures. So don't get me started on that sort of contractual issues as well with certain players that we kind of hold to a high regard, unlike Calabria. So I think we need to watch how we're saying about certain players. I think someone like him is a sheer example of the players that we sort of want leading this club going forward. And we can even mention the fact that we need players from the academy system. We need players from the Italian and Milan academy systems, because we have to register certain players to be in this squad. So to think that we shift someone like him out of the team is just, it's absurd. It's completely absurd. And I just think we need to remember everything about the past. It builds that representation of how we hold Calabria to a high esteem, and we shouldn't forget that. Just because a few weeks of bad form, a few months of bad form, the player's still good there. He's probably suffering a few injuries as well, and he's putting his maximum in, so we can't be slandering him. But anyway, look, those are the three things I want to stand off about this week: Calabria, Pioli, and obviously the heart of this club. I loved the performance against Lazio. It gives me massive confidence going into the last 4 games. I want to see some great results and just keep us in this title race. And who knows what's going to happen at the end of the season. Look, guys, this is the last video I'm going to film for a couple of weeks now. I'm off on holiday, so I'm going to be flying out to Canada for a few weeks. I will make it in time, I believe, for the last game back before Sassuolo. So I might be able to get a video filmed in right before that last game of the season. So hopefully we're in a good position at that point. So until next time, guys, obviously keep with myself on social media, Twitter, and that sort of, and that's kind of the only way you can keep with me. And obviously keep watching the videos here on Sempre Milan, the podcast. And until next time, guys, keep the faith going, and who knows what's going to happen in the season. Forza Milan.